Do you like to do it yourself? I quit. I'm done. That's it. Welcome back to the Scale Builders Guild. Thanks again for watching. It's episode 56 of What's on the Bench Weekly. If you are not familiar with this show, it's where I take you through projects I'm working on, things that are on the bench, usually. And this is a very good DIY episode. I'm going to teach you all kinds of stuff that might be helpful, especially if you're building small RC trucks. It's really the main reason you watch this show, hopefully. And if you're enjoying this show, be sure to hit the subscribe like, and ring that like bell anytime there's a new video from the Scale Like build. Does anybody even listen to that part anymore? Probably not. Anyway, lots of cool stuff to share. First thing on the bench is the Mullet chassis. And you can see there's some parts missing from this Hilux cab. And that's what I'm going to be talking about for the majority of this segment, because the chassis hasn't changed. I haven't done anything to this at all. A lot of people complained about the center diff and not allowing for a lot of clearance with that motor. It's true. It doesn't allow a lot of clearance. We're doing it anyway, because I do what I want. Anyway, here is the Hilux cab, and you can see that I've done a half door cut on both sides. So yeah. Also trimmed the front edge of the quarter panel there, or fender, just because I didn't like how much there was, and usually with a truck like this it wouldn't have that bottom portion anyway. This was a very quick trim with the Proxxon. I do not use a Dremel anymore because those can get away from you. I like the Proxxon a lot more. It's a lot more precise. It's a lot more for this hobby. So I would highly recommend picking up a Proxxon if you don't have one. They're great tools. They make a whole bunch of other hobby-sized tools that are very, very helpful and are amazing. They're really useful. Yeah, I did use the Proxxon to cut these door halves out. I don't have the halves anymore. I've thrown those away because we won't ever be using them again. But with a half door like this, logically, because now you've removed the door, and you'd also remove the trim around the door because it was all one piece. The glass was enclosed in a little tiny piece of trim. So I've removed all of that. This was super easy to get nice and clean. Don't use the Proxxon. Use a nice sharp hobby blade. Score that area around there. There is an actual panel line that you can trace, which is what I did, and it will pop right out. And then you have this nice, super clean cut, and it looks fantastic. This is not the first time this has been done. I did this on my Marlin crawler. I'm doing it to this one. I've done it before this one. There will be many more, but this one is mine. What color should we paint this thing? Don't know yet. Haven't even really thought about it. Yeah, that's the majority of the cutting I'm going to be doing to this body. It's a very easy cut to make. In future episodes, I'll actually finish out these door panels so there's some depth. Because on all the Marlins that I've seen, they weld in a panel all along the interior here, so it actually is finished and you won't cut yourself on bare metal. We'll probably also put some sort of bar in there too. It was styrene in the past. Maybe we'll do metal this time. I'll definitely be using the RevoPoint Inspire to scan all of this data, so when I go into Fusion 360, I can actually design this so it's one piece and not styrene. Actually, maybe it will be. Maybe we'll use ABS. I have ordered some ABS. I've never printed with ABS, but I think there's a good opportunity here to do that, and I'll explain more in a second. So that's cutting. Now, with this Tamiya Hilux Bruiser cab, there's always a hole here for a body pin, but I've gone to the trouble of filling that. Very simple, just a piece of styrene glued in with some MEK or MEK substitute on the back portion here, just a nice thin piece of styrene. And then on the top part, I use an old styrene sprue, usually and should be the same plastic that this cab was made out of. So I've actually used a sprue from this kit, and you just heat it up with a lighter to the point that it starts to ignite, and then you blow it out. And while it's not on fire, press it very firmly into that hole, that recess anyway, and just kind of wiggle it in so it fills all the gaps inside, and then let it cool, and then snip it off, and then you've got a nice solid piece of styrene that you can eventually sand and fill with a little bit of gap filler, and then you've got a nice perfectly smooth area where there used to be a hole. Same thing on the sides. I'm filling those holes as well, just these 3, and keeping those 2 for body mounting later on. I'm going to do the same thing I did with the Marlin once I put it on the Brazen chassis, which is grub screws the other way, and it just kind of snap and friction fits. It's a great way to do it. Very clean, and I think works really well. Okay, so that's the majority of styrene work for now. There is a lot more to come on this. One thing that's missing, of course, is the back half of the cab. And as luck would have it, RC 4-wheel drive does make a back half cab, but it's really meant for their Mojave body. It doesn't fit so well on the Hilux body. And while I have this here, I won't be using it because, as you can see, the fit is not good. I mean, it was never meant to go on this cab. It was always meant for their own Mojave cab, so it doesn't quite fit. You can see there's a bit of a gap right around the edge there, right here, and then this whole profile is completely wrong, and it just looks like ass. Can't have that. It's terrible. But I found a really amazing file on Thingiverse where it is free. It's an entirely internal structure for the Bruiser body. This was made by a very enterprising gentleman who obviously loves this hobby very much. I will put a link down below where you can pick this thing up. I'm going to start printing out parts of it in ABS. So then we've got the back half of the cab, and then we've also got internal structure for inner fenders and radiator mount and everything. It's going to be quite spectacular, and it's a full flat interior too, which looks amazing. Hopefully I can get it to fit on this chassis. Hopefully. I haven't really thought that far in advance. At worst, I'll use the floor and the back part of the cab. Yeah, it's going to be amazing. That is a really cool piece. Highly recommend picking it up. I think it will just add a whole other dimension of realism to any Hilux build. So keep that in mind. What an absolutely wonderful world we live in, where 3D printing and free files are a thing. It's pretty amazing. That's it for the Mullet. Lots more to come on this. Hope you'll stick around. Hope you enjoyed a little DIY and a little bit of learning. It's learned, son. Learned. Okay, on to the next thing. Check it out, it's a boat. Well, it's the beginning of a boat anyway, and after watching K-Pop's little M-Jet jet boat video, I was inspired. I said, I gotta make one of these too. Since he lives so close by, we'll both be able to run our boats and have some fun. And I'm looking forward to it. This piece here, I printed on the X1 Carbon from Bamboo, and this took 5.5 hours at 0.20 layer height. It's printed in PLA Tough, so it is a much stronger PLA. This is what MJet recommends on his website. I'm going to start ordering all the parts to make this a real boat. We'll get on to printing the next piece of the hull, and then there's a whole bunch of other support pieces we need to do, but I should probably have a boat in like a week, if we keep up this kind of pace anyway. So, pretty amazing stuff. I'm just so amazed at the quality of the print and the speed at which it comes out. It's really amazing. This is a really great design. I will make sure to link down below in case you are interested in making your own jet boat instead of buying one. Josh. Okay, on to the next thing. Don't you just love Beetles? I know I do, and here is a finished one. Yes, the Spare Time Hobbies Bugger UTB18 conversion chassis kit. All done. And today I'm going to show you how to weather this one. But before I get into the weathering, I did want to go over a few details. It's been a journey, man, and I'm so happy with the end result. All of you viewers have been amazing. I really appreciate all the feedback, all the suggestions on what I should put on the side. I thought 69.5 was a great choice, and the least filthy of some of those suggestions on the comments. But thank you very much for all of those. This is Obviously, I don't know who Dippy is, but this guy doesn't like him at all. He's got lots of things to say to him, in fact. Yeah, here it is. Essentially, I didn't have to do very much from the last time mechanically. I've really just sort of added some detail work and some weathering, and you can see the results of all of that now. Lights are installed, headlights in a Scorcher body, which was a fun little process. It wasn't really designed to have lights in there, so that was a bit of a challenge. It's also got rock lights too, which seem to be working, which is very cool. Can you see those under there? There they are. There's one. Anyway, yeah, it's pretty much done. I've also, oh, this was a really fun little feature. I added a TPU window net on the back here. Because, you know, the Scorcher body does not come with a rear window, because that's how you actually get in and out of it on a Sand Scorcher. But yeah, I thought that was kind of a nice little touch. I thought it looks really good back there. License plates from RC Plate Shop are on there. I thought Love You Buy was a great option to have. I think I had those done a while ago and didn't really intend on using them anywhere, but here it is. And the driver, of course, he works. Get a better look at him. There we go. Yep, that'll have to do. Turns his head, steering wheel turns, just so great. I love it. That Holmes motor is fantastic. Nice low end. Sounds good in there. Ooh. All right. Now let's talk a little bit about weathering, probably my most favorite part of the process. This one got what I like to call, and what is normally referred to as, the oil dot method. And that's using these things here. These are called oil brushers. They are from MIG, and I've used these a bunch in the past on all sorts of different vehicles. But essentially, what you do is little tiny dab. Don't get the wrong idea. That's not what we're talking about. But you apply little tiny dots all over the car. And what you want to use is multiple colors, because weathering kind of is a mishmash of a bunch of different colors. I used green, yellow, white. There's one called Grime, I think. I used brown, and you apply those all over the panels, and then you use a nice dry brush to just brush them in. This is an oil paint, so it does require more time to dry, but once it's dry, it is a very effective way of weathering an entire vehicle. I think it actually looks really good. It is very random, and because of the different shades, you can actually get some pretty great techniques. Like back here, it's a lot grimier than it is everywhere else. That's by design, and you use more brown and more of that dark brown in order to get that look back there. You don't really need to use anything other than a standard paintbrush. It's pretty easy, pretty cool technique. I think it looks fantastic. I'm really pleased with this. It's so great to have two of these. How can I best show this? There we go. It's so great to have two shippies. One shippy, one dippy, I guess. But one Baja style bug and then another off-road crawler. It's just awesome to have two of these. I'm so happy with how they both turned out. It's just nice to have two in the collection. And I will eventually get this little guy painted up the same way too. But he'll have to be like 0.69. Have you considered this? Is this something you would do to an Axial UTB18? And if you have considered it, why haven't you started yet? Put a comment down below. You know I love reading through your feedback, and I try to answer as many of them as I can. All right, there you go. Really happy with this. I will have to take this out and do an entire video on it, because I think it demands some actual rock time. That's going to do it for this episode. Thank you so much for watching, and we will see you again next. Oh, wait. This was supposed to be a live video this week, because Every 8th video is supposed to be a live one. But I have plans this Thursday night, so we couldn't do that. Next week will be live. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you again next week.